And so finally enough people are coming that decided.
Okay. All right, we are going to get started and allow them. I got a mic on. We're going to get started. Donna decided
Stay in the view of the camera. Just saying.
All right, welcome, welcome. Sorry I was getting all logged in and getting stuff together. So, I think I know most of you. I am Latoya Hartman-Lewis, and I am the Director of Academic Initiatives and Partnerships, but I'm also an adjunct professor now in education. So I've been here for a long time. I've worked with many of you several times, and GRIT falls under my area, so they asked me would I do a workshop for y'all. So, in Latoya style, this will be a workshop. We're going to have opportunities to participate and kind of get some things done. I have some ITCP graduates in here, Penny and Brandy. So we're going to be learning.
Donna.
And Donna.
ITCP.
And would you like to tell her, Donna, what ITCP is?
I have bagel in my mouth. Instructional technology.
Creative people.
ITC. What's this? Instructional technology.
See?
Classroom.
Certification
program.
There you go, Donna.
I have one of those though.
You do. She has one. So some of the things that we're going to do today are going to be familiar to the people who have gone through the program. But to get started, if you have your device, I would like you all to log on to this website, nearpod.com. And at the top, it's going to ask you for a join code, and this is what you're going to type in. Oh, love it. I thought you were saying you loved this. Okay, so I'll write it on the board as well. So we're going to use a couple different websites. So when you have this browser up, Chrome is probably the best one. We're going to use a couple different websites today. All right, so I'm going to close this, but if you need the password, you can join at any time.
Do we need to type anything into the other box once
Nope.
we get into there? Okay, just the name.
Is it asking for your name?
Is that for your name?
You can put anything.
So put it in.
Well, yeah, LOVYT. You don't need to sign up. Join session. Go back. And right here, enter code.
All right.
And you have two ITCP people, and they didn't even help you. Put your name.
She had caps.
Let me see. Nothing. Join session. I guess if you have another. Okay. So Nearpod, we're going to do. Is everybody in? Can you make sure BC can say anything? Okay. So Nearpod is the tool the main tool that we're going to use today. And this is actually something last year ITCP folks came together and wrote a grant. And we have higher education licenses. It's taken a lot longer to get them than expected, but we will get the licenses next week. So if this is something that you're interested in, let me know, and you may be able to get a license as well. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to go through the presentation. You can see it up here, but you also have access to it on your own device. So you don't necessarily have to look up here, okay? So, here we go. First thing we are going to do is take a quiz, a pretest. I took over your screen.
No, I'm trying to read the white on the back.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't look like that before. It just says pretest. So,
It's pre-quiz.
Sorry.
It's a pre-quiz. So what we're going to do, stay on the internet, but you're going to open another browser or another tab, and you're going to go to menti.com, and you're going to input that code. So I'm not going to close this at all. I'm just going to go here. M-I-N-T-I. It's up there too.
Open a new browser.
Menti.com, and then put that code in, 673058. So just do this here. Yep, Menti.com. M-E-N-T-I. Yes. Okay.
Really?
What part of Alabama?
On a Friday.
You go to space camp?
I did.
All that fun stuff.
I did. It's something. That's why Friday's like, I'm done.
All right, is that three? Only 3 of you are in?
You're in.
Everybody in?
Yep.
Okay. Uh-oh, let's see.
Ryan, there, I did it.
That's where you're supposed to go. There you go. Yeah, just stay right there. You're in the right place. So we're going to take a quiz to see what you already know. Now it's going to ask you for your name, and it's going to assign you an avatar. So type your name in. You don't get to pick your avatar.
And join quiz.
And join quiz. No, you're on the right screen. It doesn't look like this. Your screen should not look like my screen.
So I just get to be
So Claudia sounds like
Your paperclip?
You hold things together, Claudia.
you're gonna get ready to play.
I'm a bumblebee.
Y'all are just like the students. Claudia's just like the students. You don't get to pick your avatar. It just randomly assigns you one. Claudia got the paper trail. All right.
Which one do you have?
Everybody has a different name.
They all sit in the back.
Everybody's different.
There's no question.
Class, you know, like a small class, they're all sitting on
All right, so everybody listen up here. You are given an avatar. This is what's about to happen in a second. There is going to be a question that pops up. You have to answer it. If you get it correct and you answer the fastest, then you are on the leaderboard, right? So this is all on how quick and how knowledgeable you are. So here we go. Question 1, who said, grit is passionate perseverance for very long-term goals? So now, here are your answers. You're going to use the voting buttons on your screen. And hopefully I picked an answer. Everyone has voted. The correct answer is Angela Duckworth. Good job. And so now I have a leaderboard. Let's see who. Let's see.
Flippy.
And
I don't know how I got
Daisy is at the top. Where's Daisy? Daisy, very low Daisy. All right. So here we go. Now this is what happens with this. So when students, when you have a very big class, students may say, well, Miss, I don't see my name, right? The reason you don't see your name is why?
Because it goes down below.
It's below the page. So this is the leaderboard, okay? So if you're not on the leaderboard, that means you have to do better next time. Believing that your qualities like intelligence and athleticism are carved in stone is what? Okay. That is a fixed mindset, right? So if you, well, I'm not going to give away because I may give away the answer later. All right. So let's check our leaderboard again. Uh-oh, what's happening? Oh, and Skellington has taken the lead, and that would be Clark reason. All right, question 3. Now look at this carefully. The 4 traits of gritty people. The 4 traits. Okay. So Angela Duckworth in her book Grit defines 4 traits of gritty people. So gritty people demonstrate interest, they practice, they do things with a sense of purpose, and they have hope. Paul Stoltz has defined behaviors of gritty people. Okay, so that's the trick question. We got one person who got it right. And we know who that one person was. Amber, good job. Skellington is still in the lead. Penny and Daisy are in a close second and third. All right. Who said grit is your capacity to dig deep, to do whatever it takes, especially sacrifice, to achieve your most worthy goals? Who said that?
I haven't read the book.
That's why you're learning.
That's okay.
I don't know.
How many of our students don't read the book? Okay. The correct answer is Paul G. Stoltz. We got some people who got that one right. And the top has shifted. Look at Penny Piercy on the top. Good job. Daisy's in a close second, followed by Amber. Going after your goals in a way that enhances the people around you is what?
I want to change my answer.
You can't change your answer.
I said the wrong thing.
You're stuck. Everyone has voted. Correct answer is good grit, right? Right, and there we go. This gritty behavior is about how likely we are to seek fresh ideas to help us achieve our goals. So this gritty behavior is about how likely we are to seek fresh ideas to help achieve our goals. Okay. Growth is correct.
I think I got it actually, because I started to put it out of my differentiation.
All right. Uh-oh. Amber's coming for you, Daisy. Well, she came for you.
She did, I know.
Going after our goals the best way, not the hardest way. When we go after our goals the best way, not the hardest way. What is that called? is instinct. That is instinct. And Daisy's back in the lead. Great job. A student with this mindset feels that the teacher feedback is useful and it can be used to grow. Teacher feedback is useful and it can be used to grow. Good job. It is growth mindset. Two more. The student with this mindset hates making mistakes, and they're discouraged if they make them. They try to avoid mistakes at all costs. That was quick. Fixed mindset. Good job. Who was the fastest? Because we all got it right. Looks like Penny might have been the fastest, but she's really close to Daisy. What is the name of the publishing company that partners with College-Tomball on most grid initiatives? I hope I put an answer in choice. Okay. Pearson. Let's show our winner. Who's our winner? Daisy. Good job, Daisy. Come on over here, guys. Well, you get to pick what color. There you go. All right. So, I'm going to go back into Nearpod. So why did I do this, right? If we want to begin to infuse these principles in our classes, it's important that we understand them, right? If we ourselves don't understand them, it's going to be impossible for us to be able to start integrating them into the classroom. So today, that's just what we're going to do. We have a few objectives, what you will learn today. 1, how to be a model of grit. 2, how to GRITify an assignment. And then I'm going to share some student activities that you can use in your classes. And I know that we all teach different subjects, so this isn't subject specific. I'm really going to need your input to help share with the group how we can apply these principles to our different disciplines. So I'm just here to give you those tools. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is being a model of grit. And there are a couple things that we can do. For me, one of the things that I have noticed and I've had a lot of success with in the classroom is if I want my students to demonstrate these behaviors and they don't know what it means to demonstrate the behaviors, we have to show them how to do that. So it's just like with anything. If we want them to write a sentence, we have to show them how the sentence should be written. If we want them to solve the quadratic formula, because that's always my math go-to, we have to show them how to do that. We have to take them through the steps. When they see us do these things, they begin to internalize them, and then we see these behaviors. This is something I've had tremendous success with, where the quality of work in my classes has skyrocketed because I'm a model of grit. Because they see me do it, it sort of raises the level of expectation in the classroom, and then students want to then meet that expectation. So, how can we model grit, the G-R-I-T, that Dr. Stoltz talks about? So, when we model growth, one of the things that we want to do is find new ways to present information or to involve students in learning. So this is why I'm using Nearpod today, right? We want to find new and innovative ways to present content to students. Modeling resilience means we're changing the conversation when students aren't doing well, because we know students are going to face obstacles. How do we get them to bounce back? How do we get them to use that adversity to achieve their goals? When we model instinct, and this is really important, we'll spend some time here. How do we use formative assessment to not only check for understanding, but to alter how we're teaching or what we're teaching? We may find that students know how to write sentences, so we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. Maybe it is the paragraph structure, right? So this is going to help us determine where we need to spend most of our effort. And then finally, tenacity. We don't want our students to give up, so how do we provide opportunities for them to practice, to do the deliberative practice that Angela Duckworth talks about? So we're going to do all of these. Okay, so let's first talk about how we can model growth. All right, one of the things that I do, and this is very simple, how many of you use PowerPoint for your lessons? The easiest way for you to do this is to add multiple choice questions on your slides, right? So in between content, you put a question, you put a multiple choice question, I'm sorry, you put a question and multiple choice options, and you can give students cards. I didn't have any cards. I was using Corey Colby's because mine are gone. But when you answer the question, they hold up their answer. And that sparks discussion, right? I put them on different colored cardstock, so it's easy for me to see how students are thinking. So if I know the correct answer is red, but I have a sea of yellow, purple, and blue, maybe that's something I need to reteach or to clarify, right? So traditional PowerPoint, this is probably the easiest thing you can do. Insert multiple choice questions, true, false questions every third or fourth slide, right? Just to kind of change how you're doing the instruction. So that's the easiest way. But now we're going to talk about something a bit more tech involved. So one of the things that I do quite a bit, and I'm going to actually log into my class so you can see an example, is I use Adobe Spark Video. And there are a couple of ways that I use this tool in my class. One, I do a week at a glance, and that's what I'll show you in just a second. So for my online classes, before they do anything, I always post a video of what they will do that week, okay? It's also a great tool to introduce something new. So if there is a complicated topic, maybe you do a quick video that they watch for homework before they come to class to introduce it for them, right? So they have a little bit of reference before they come into the classroom. You can also use it for a chapter or topic summary. So this was the one thing I forgot to do, log into my class. I'm gonna log in and show you. Now, and we'll play, you'll have an opportunity to play with it a little bit in just a second. All right. I don't know how I like this. Do y'all like the new feel of this?
No.
It confuses me a bit. All right. Okay, so this is my online class. So before they do anything, the very first thing they have is the week 5 at a glance.
Hello, Fall 2018 class. This is Professor Lewis with a Week 5 overview. One of the first things you'll do this week is participate in the Week 5 discussion. You will watch a video titled, "What's the Point of College?" and reflect on that video and growth mindset. You will have 2 lessons for this week. First, you will learn how to structure a lesson plan using the box model. You will also learn what it means to teach culturally diverse students and how to make your lessons culturally responsive. You will have 2 main assignments for this week. You will modify lesson plans to include the strategies you've learned about, UDL, and how to teach culturally diverse students. And you will also learn some new technology throughout the week. You will use Seesaw, the learning journal, for your discussion. You will go to a Google site for one of your lessons, and you will use Google Forms to take one of your quizzes. Now here are a few reminders for this week. Log in to the class a few days this week to complete your assignments. You will need time to complete all of them. Please do not wait until the last minute. Remember to reply to your peers' discussion post. In order for this to be a discussion, it has to be a two-way conversation. So please make sure that you are doing your discussion early and replying to your peers. Don't forget to check your grades. Sometimes I'll leave comments about things that I need from you. And please make sure you pay attention to the due dates. Please remember that all assignments are due Monday at 8 p.m. Even though there is an extension, you will begin to receive late points if you complete the assignments late. So that's week 5. I hope you all enjoy the week and that you learned something new this week. Now let's get started.
Okay. Very quick and simple, but now they know what to expect for the week, right? And it's a way for me to make sure that they don't miss anything. The longer the video, the earlier they know that they need to log into the course. And this is something that I'll post also on the announcements page so they can see it, and then it's the first thing that they do. I have found that I have fewer and fewer students missing assignments because they watch this video, right? And this is just something new, right? I could log in and just put everything the exact same way and they get used to it, but what happens in showing them a new tool when it comes time for a project, or it comes time to do a summary, or it comes time to do something interesting, they have a new tool that they can use for that assignment.
2 questions. Do they get like a participation point for watching the video?
Nope.
Okay.
It's
so
the expectation that they watch it.
Okay. And does the video have closed caption?
You can if you upload it to YouTube. So the cool thing about Adobe Spark Video, and those of you,
I've uploaded to YouTube.
Right.
To get the closed.
So if you upload a video to YouTube, it will caption it for you, and then you just have to make tweaks. One of the really good things that I like about Adobe Spark Video is that depending on the type of video you do, you can put your text and just read it, right? So it is automatically closed captioned. So to me, that's the easiest way to do it, is just put whatever you're going to say. If you ad-lib a little bit, not that big of a deal. If they get the basic concept of what you're saying, the main ideas, it should be fine. But that's one other reason that I like this. But it is simple. I do these in my bedroom. You can do them on your phone. It doesn't take a lot of time to do them. And it's just,
there's an app for it?
Yes. So if you can upload videos or pictures as well. So if they're already on your phone, it's easy to do. I find sometimes that it's easier to record on my phone because I'm closer and the mic is better, but you don't have to record. My students have done these, and some will talk over their videos and some don't, right? It's just a video. They add the music, they have the text on there. It's just very easy. This is very easy for them to use. Yes?
Can you stop and start, or do you have to have like your script?
Nope, you can stop and start every slide.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I like about it, is if I mess up, I don't have to re-record the whole video, I just re-record that slide.
Is the music recorded through your microphone, or is it something?
It's
like
built
that?
into the program. So let me show you what it looks like so you kind of see. And Adobe Spark has other features if you play around with it. You can do web pages, which is something that I've done here. You can do posters, which is something that I've done here. There's all sorts of things, and again, I use these with my students. So before I show you video, let me just show you really quickly. Here's something called a post, and a post is like a poster. And there's so many free images and free graphics and all these, it's just easy, right? So I did this poster maybe in 10 minutes, not because I'm super tech savvy, but because it is so easy. You pick a template and you plug in pictures that are already built into Adobe. It's very, very easy to use. So I do this, and then I ask my students, summarize chapter 2 using an Adobe Spark post. I don't want you to write an essay. I just want to know what are the main points and then what pictures support some of those points, right? Just finding new ways for them to demonstrate their learning. Okay. So let me show you video really quickly. You create a free account, and then you have the option to do new, and it gives you Instagram posts, Facebook covers, Pinterest boards, flyers, photo collage. You have all of these different templates, but I usually go all the way to the bottom because I like to start from scratch, and I'll create a video. You have to title it. Click next. You have templates that you can choose from, right? Promote an idea, tell what happened, show and tell, and you have more, but again, teach a lesson. But I like to start from scratch. And if you use a template, it's just gonna tell you like the suggested order for things. There will always be a video that pops up that you can watch if you need help, but this is your canvas, okay? So if I want to add a slide, I click the plus button and I have my options. Do I want to have text, a photo, or an icon? Just very quickly over here, and I have a guide for you so you can learn how to do this. I start with the layout. Similar to PowerPoint, you have options. So if you don't want it to be full screen, if you want a split screen, right, just pops up. So here I'm going to type, hello everyone. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to add, let's say I add a photo. You can find free photos. Very easy. So I'm going to put students. And I have all these options to choose from. And all I have to do is click on one and it appears. If I don't like the order, I can switch it, right? If I don't like the layout, I can choose a different layout. It's very easy, okay? This microphone here is what Katie was asking about. So you hold it down. I don't think there's a mic on here. You hold it down and you record. When you're done, you let go, right? It's not intended for you to record 5 minutes on a slide. You want it to be very quickly, but you can insert as many slides as you want to, okay? So that's basically the gist. You can choose different layouts. A new feature is that they have different color options. That was not an option before. So you can pick this one, and if you want it to be that, it's going to change the layout of it, or the color scheme, okay? If you don't want to put your voice, you want to make sure that you adjust your time so that students have time to read the content, and then you can always preview it. Right? You don't like it, you change it. You're like, that's too long for that slide, you cut the time. If you want to add your voice, you can.
Does it add the music?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, if you click on music, you can choose to turn it off.
Okay.
So here, the music on, you don't want music, you just turn it off. If you do want it, you turn it on and it gives you options here, or you can upload music.
And you play each one and listen to them, yeah.
Yeah, you can hit play. Oh, that's pretty cool, right? You can also adjust the volume so that it's not too loud. If you want to have just a hint of music in the background, you can adjust the volume on the video, okay?
The add my music. You have to get permission to
I would recommend just using what's built in.
I didn't know if there was anything like with video clips where you can show a certain amount.
You can. It's the same. I don't know all the library rules, but there is. If you are interested in jazzing it up, you can search royalty-free music, and you can get free music clips that you can download and then upload. Okay? So this is Adobe Spark Video. This is one way that you can use this. Another thing you can do, so let's say your publisher provides you with PowerPoints. This is something that I've done for one of my classes. You can save your PowerPoint as images. I don't know if you knew you could do that, but you can save all your PowerPoint slides as an image. After you do that, you can upload the PowerPoints into the video. I've done that as well, right? So if you want to provide a brief summary in a video format, you can do that, okay? And that's real easy to do. If you want help with that, I can show you, but you can save your PowerPoint in one fell swoop as images, or you can, so here, if you want to upload a photo, you can do the free photos, or you can upload your own photos. So if you've saved it on your computer, you can upload the PowerPoint slides. And I haven't done it here, but that's something you can do as well. But if I just pick a random picture, I don't have a random picture. I have a lot of pictures, y'all see. okay?
Can you create hyperlinks? So say like your last slide had websites or something. Is that
No,
option?
not in this option.
Okay.
If you do a page is like a website, and you can build those things in there, and you can insert videos pretty easily as well. So that's another option for, I'll say this, I'll show you all this. I wasn't gonna show you all of these, but I showed you a post. But one of the things we did for our group advising sessions, my advisor wanted to try something new again. It's contagious when you start doing new things. So I needed her to do a presentation for our homeschool families. And because we're always trying something new, she took it upon herself to build a page. And she's about the age of our students, right? It is contagious when they see you doing it. But it's just a web page, right? You can scroll down and you can present information this way. Students can do their projects here, right? They can take a picture of the math problems that they've done and they can upload them into a presentation and present it to you that way. So this is another option for them as well, okay? So you just go through, we didn't embed any videos, but you can embed images and then you can zoom in on the images. Right? Just another tool, okay? So that is Adobe Spark Video, and again, here are some of the ideas that I use for this. Remember, this is about growth, right? So if the end goal is for your students to pass, if the end goal is for them to learn how to use a semicolon correctly, what new and innovative ways are we using in the classroom to present that? Are we doing it the same way every time? If we are, we're not going to reach all of our students, right? That's unfortunate, right? But they are coming from a K-12 system that is very tech rich, but not only that, they come from, if they're in public school, they come from a system where they are allowed to do things over and over again until they get the grade they want. I don't like that, right? But that's the reality that we're faced with, right? And so we have to somehow transition these students who have been given all these opportunities, or they have been inundated with technology. We have to transition them if we want them to be successful. So these are just simple ways, little ways that you can do that. Okay, and like I told you before, Adobe Spark is not just for instructors. It becomes contagious because it's so easy for them to use. So I'm just gonna brainstorm here, but you could have them do a 3-slide review of what they learned last class, right? They could do it as groups, right? So you all are responsible for summarizing chapter 2, you're gonna do chapter 3, you're gonna do chapter 4, right? And they present those to the class. It's just one more way to get them involved. My students do their grit stories, and they do some projects using Adobe Spark Video too.
So now how do they gain access to Adobe Spark?
They create an account, a free
It's
account.
a free, all right. So from nearpod.com?
Oh, no, from Adobe Spark.
From Adobe Spark?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So let's see if I have.
Latoya, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you actually upload these to D2L or
You
is it just a
can.
link?
Either way.
Okay.
You can upload the video to D2L, you can provide a link in D2L and it'll take them to the video. You can upload it to YouTube and create a YouTube link and embed it. There's many ways you can do
Is
this.
there ever any problem with like file sizes or anything like that?
No, I haven't had that yet.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I never will, but I do give them, so here they did their grid stories this semester, and you'll notice they downloaded it and they also provided the link to make sure, and that's, I just told them this is what I needed them to do, and they did it. I don't have a lot of trouble with students not understanding how to do these things, right? So, look, you can share my video if you like. So I do ask their permission, but this is what it looks like if it's the link. It takes you to the website, and then they just tell their
My
story.
grid story starts with my high school graduation in 2002.
Can't really hear her.
I felt lucky just to make it to graduation.
Okay, so what I can do, when I give feedback to Marquita, I can say, hey, slide 2, I need you to speak in the mic more. That's an easy fix for her to do, okay? So they are able to create these pretty easily, and if I'm being honest, because I was a high school English teacher, they're more fun for me to grade, right? If at the end of the day I want to see if they understand the topic, they don't always have to write. They don't. The writing serves its purpose, but there are other ways for me to check their understanding. This one's real. Of course, he has a PhD. I have a student who has a PhD right now.
For as long as we can remember, we've been told we have to find the right tools to build our futures. One of those tools is learning how to work with other people and to collaborate in teams so that we can rise to the challenges presented. This lesson of collaboration served me well as I earned degrees in classical voice and became a professional opera singer.
Of course he did. Of course I have a. So he's now a dean at a private school, so he has to get the education classes, so that's not intimidating at all for my student. So I have not had one student say they can't do it. I have a job aid that I can share with you. I know Monty's area is working on a how-to video. It's very, very easy to use, and you can choose to use your voice or not, okay?
Even his is a little bit muffled.
It is.
Yeah.
I noticed when you had the music, there was a slider besides just on and off, it seemed. So you could just make
down the
it
music.
lower.
Yeah, you can make it lower.
As opposed to having to speak loud.
And I didn't tell them that, so next time I will. But it is, for some reason, and it could be the speakers in here, because when I've listened to these at home, it hasn't been this muffled.
But yours was great.
Well, I am a Adobe Spark Pro, Katie. I've been doing this a lot. All right.
Realistically, how long did that 2-minute video take you to make?
Don't ask me, because
Okay.
I have learned, especially in my new role, that I am very fast. Very fast. But I do not think, have you done a video yet, Adobe Spark video? No? You have?
I've done, so far, probably say a 3 to 4 minute video, like a review or whatever. I think and I'm not fast. It probably took me an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, hour and a half.
What about you, Penny? Have you tried it? No. So this is what I'm gonna say. It's gonna.
They are easy, and it
They're
is
very
easy, and I'm not techie, and so it was easy for me. I just didn't move that fast. But I do know that if I made them on a regular basis, it would be faster. I just don't do them often enough
Right.
to get fast at
But are
it.
you including the time it's taking you to actually put the content together for the review?
So what I do is I pull content I have. You can take content that you all. I'm not asking you to totally do something new. So if you have a PowerPoint and you want to add some voice to it, I would make those slides images and I would upload them.
You can
right?
cut and paste,
Yeah.
any information, and that's what I did as well. So
Yeah, you
from
can cut
other
and paste the
sources,
text.
I cut and paste the text.
And so my son does these too, and he started when he was 8. And it does, it's typing a little bit and it's finding a picture and I will say this, if you know if you sit there, so right now I'm stuck on one because I didn't plan before, it's that pre-writing. If you don't know what you're going to put in there, like if you don't have a purpose, if you're just like, I'm gonna try Adobe Spark and I don't know what I'm gonna do, it's gonna take longer. But if you know exactly, okay, these are the things that I wanna put in, it doesn't take as long because you already have an understanding of where you're going with the video. Does that make sense? Okay.
But I also make mine generic, like where her said fall 2018.
That's what I was wondering.
I am
Do you
not
do
gonna
that
do
every
that,
semester,
no.
really?
So my week 5 or whatever it is, I make mine generic so I can use them every semester.
But here's the other thing, I put fall, but you know what I have to do next time? I just copy it and change it to spring and re-record that first slide.
So
Hey,
you can go
spring
back in
2018.
Can you
19.
duplicate? Like
Yes.
okay, so you
You
don't
can
have to.
duplicate, you don't have to.
Okay.
And then you can take ones out and you can add one. So you can take one you've already done and revise it, cut,
So
yeah.
it feels custom when it's really.
It does, and then those students are like, ooh, she really did a video for me this week. Not really. I just copied the video from last semester and adjusted it, right? It's easier too than doing a capture or a screencast-o-matic because you can just cut the slide that you don't want, okay? So that's one way that I do this. Another way I do this is with Nearpod. So Nearpod allows you, and you're going to participate a little bit more today with Nearpod, but this is a platform where you have your slides, but you can make them interactive. So you can embed quizzes, polls, draw it activities. So what's a draw it activity? I'm going to upload a cell diagram of a cell and they're going to label it on their screen. I'm going to upload a picture of a math problem and I want them to solve it on their screen. So those are, or diagram a sentence, or read a thesis statement and edit it, right? You can do all of that in Nearpod. There are 3D, there's VR integration as well. So there's one where you can put, like there's a 3D model of a cell and they're able to manipulate the cell and look at it from all angles, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do with Nearpod. And again, it's just another way to present the information. With the higher ed license that I hope we get Monday, students will be able to create an account, and whenever you use Nearpod, they can take notes on the slides and they can save them so they can review. You can take a lesson and you can post it in an online class, or it can be supplemental instruction and they can go through it at their own pace. You'll be able to upload videos. You'll get reports at the end, so you see what grades. You can see if a student logged in, right? So it's a good way to kind of present your information in a different way.
You said students can write notes on slides. What technology do they need to do that?
They just log in.
Have you had any issues with students who don't have laptops not being able to?
I have not. Now, right now I teach online, so that's not an issue, but I use this in class a lot. If you can reserve a computer lab, if you don't, let me say this too. One of the things about demonstrating growth is not that you find one technology tool and you use it all the time. That kind of defeats the purpose. So Nearpod is not something I would use every single class. But if I was concerned about that, I would maybe rent a computer lab. I would check out the iPads, right? So that my students could have access to it if they don't want to use their phone, because they can use it on their mobile device as well, or they can use it on a campus-issued device.
I think in that term, in the same way that I do with 360 videos, you have a variety of student readiness when they come to class. So you'd have to know what day you were going to do it, and have them bring it, but even so, you're still going to get cracked screens, or my device is not charged up. I mean, it's a variety of things, so it's probably better if you're going to use it occasionally to highlight something, because this is the best way to do it. This is the same way when you're teaching visual aids. You don't use a visual aid just because you can. You use it because it strategically highlights a point. You would bring the iPads in so everybody has the same thing, right? Or you would bring them to one of the labs, because that way everybody has the same thing, and you're not fighting with technology or differences or charges, you know, whether it's charged or anything like that. It's just easier.
It is. We have, just so you know, when we go into the high schools now, we do interactive presentations, and we did this with an auditorium full of students. They brought their Chromebooks, they got in, and it was, so when if they have the access to be able to use it, it's very, very helpful.
Yeah. So I was going to say, but don't they need a touch screen to write on the slides?
No, well, you know them. They can write with their mouse pads. They don't, no, they don't have to. If you, I can't, I've gotten better. I would have to bring my own portable mouse to be able to do that, but you don't have to include those slides either. Right.
If I was going to do that, I'd just make sure I had the iPads.
Right. So that they can do it.
I'd just make sure the whole class had the iPads. You know.
And how does one make sure of that?
Well, you
buy
just
it for them?
the campus has a set, and they'll just bring it to you.
Okay.
Check them out.
Right, but they have a finite number.
They bring them to you.
Right.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many school still has that are in operation, but there's a cart that they'll bring down to you, and you just check it out.
Renato uses it all the time.
As long as Latoya doesn't give you the Heisman and say, no, I got them today, then you're good.
They work. And I think I asked Janet a while ago, they downloaded the app onto those iPads, which makes it even easier. Yeah. So even if they can't go to the website, they just go to the app, they put their join code in, they would sign in, and then they're good to go.
This is through Monty's?
Yeah, Kendra Ladie. You can go through her to check the iPad. Yes. Code. Janet. Yeah.
Who did you say we contacted to check them out?
I would do Janet Moore. Janet L. Moore. Is that her number?
Yes.
Okay. So I will say this. I had a student, when I taught more face-to-face, I had a student, and I'm not showing you all of the functionality of Nearpod, but he used to get so excited. Like, the students like it, but this kid was we're using Nearpod today? Yeah, they sure are. I mean, he's a grown man, and he was excited about Nearpod. Also had a student, I taught EDC 1300 one summer. He's an older student, and he volunteers at the fire department, and he would do trainings, and he started doing Nearpod for training. So again, it becomes contagious, right? Mentimeter, the thing that we did in the beginning, students see that. I had one student who asked their government teacher if they could poll the class for a paper they had to write using Mentimeter, right? So she was able to do a poll, issue it to all of her classmates, and collect some of the research that she needed for an assignment. They find ways to use these tools that I would never think, right? All right. Okay. So let's talk about modeling resilience. Again, modeling growth is all about finding something new. And I do want you to begin to think about how can you do that? Can you add questions to your current PowerPoints? Are you going to do an Adobe Spark video to do a review of what they learned this week? Are you going to have your students do one? Start thinking about how you can do that. If you would like a Nearpod license, just email me after this and I can go over how we're going to do that. Okay, here's a quick poll, and I'm going to freeze this, if I can find the, there it is. Okay, one thing about Nearpod, this does not look like your screen, correct? This is the teacher view. So I really don't even have to have this up. I can turn the projector off because students have it. But here's a quick poll. Who or what do your students blame when they don't do well on an assignment?
All of the above.
Okay. So the teacher screen, I can see how people voted. Did y'all submit? Okay. Click submit.
No.
And then what I'm going to do, do y'all see that share button in the corner? I'm going to click on that and then look at your screen. What does it look like? It's a pie chart, right? So I can't see it like you see it. This is what I see on my end, right? So I can see how people participated. But you're able to share that and you can have some discussion. So I can say, I'm sorry, what's your name with the scarf?
Jill.
Jill, what do you notice about the results on the screen?
Most of the people think all the above.
Most of it. Why do you think that?
It might be a combination of multiple.
Okay, combination of multiples, right? So this is a way that you can share and it's right in the palm of their hands. Now think about those reasons. Of these, which can students actually control? So of the ones that we just mentioned, the teacher, the circumstance, the subject matter, which of those can they control? Select your answer and then press submit. What can the student control?
Oh. You went ahead and went with yes, all of them.
Great.
The subject. The students all around.
Okay. So I'm just going to share with you as the student what you all have said. What does it look like on there?
I don't know. I'm like, see, she said nothing.
What does it look like?
50% said none of this, 25% said all of them.
50% only? Your student can control you?
Well, if you have grit, you will go talk to your professor.
But can they control the professor?
Well, you know.
Can they change math just because they don't like math?
It's a campus grade school, so.
Clark,
That's why I'm switching to online.
no, that is not true. Okay. They can't control those things. It's easy for students to say, well, I didn't do well because I'm not good at writing essays, right? Well, if you feel like that, there's nothing, you can't control that part, right? Well, I'm just not good at math, or my teacher doesn't like me. Well, you're not going to be able to control that, right? So it's mindset. Yes, or if they believe that it is the teacher's fault, they don't have any way to control that teacher. They can't make the teacher like them. They can't bring them Starbucks, and maybe they can do it for Clark.
I'm student,
They can't,
suggest that.
yeah, he's talking about kids here. They can't control that. So this is what happens. If a student fails an assignment, that's a roadblock, right? The conversations they have with themselves will determine whether they press on or they stop, right? So we need to help them change those types of conversations. So the assessment autopsy, which means, do I have, I may not have enough. We may have to share. Who counts with this? 6, 9, 10. Oh, I think we have just enough. Okay. If I'm not good at counting under pressure.
Oh, no pressure.
Oh, we don't have enough. Donna's gonna have to share.
You can email me later.
Well, I don't have one to show. Okay. I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna give this
Put it
to
on your
you.
document screen.
Ah.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So this at the top, just basically, this was something that years ago, Donna and I collaborated on this, and this is something I started doing in my Dev Ed classes, mainly because I wanted to be able to tell my students, you're not gonna blame me for not passing an assignment. There's a whole bunch of reasons you didn't pass that assignment, and I am not the reason you didn't pass it. So this is something that you can do with them. Right after they take a quiz, right after they turn in an assignment, right after they do a speech, whatever it is, you have them reflect on that assignment. So they put their name, they put the assignment. Now, these are things that students can do to prepare, right? So what you want them to do is to think right after the test, what are all the things that I did to prepare for that exam? And they're gonna go through and they're gonna say yes or no. Yes or no, I did that, didn't do that, did that, didn't do that, right? What I like about this is, even if they have no's on here, you are giving them ideas for what they can do the next time, right?
Question.
Yes.
Why is number 4 and 10 the same, or are they different?
It could just be a typo.
Oh, okay.
So, this gives them an opportunity to really reflect. Then, quiz grades come back. You give them the quiz grades, then you give them this, right? So now, I'm pleased with my quiz grade, yes or no, right? And so now they're going to try to determine why they earned the grade that they did. I didn't study, I studied but I forgot. I did not understand questions, I made a careless mistake. These are things, front and back, that are within the student's control. So if you didn't study the first time, you can study the next time, right? If you didn't use the office hours before, you can use them now, right?
They don't
Yes.
get to do this, right? It's for their benefits, is that correct? Or they give it to you?
Either way, it's gonna be up to you. But I do at the end, I like them to reflect, right? So there's a reflection piece at the end.
I did take them up and then gave them back. So I wanted to be sure everybody was reflecting on what they could have done, because it's that same thing of owning, owning the grade that you have, and owning
So you
the,
see that they did.
Right, but what I mean is, are they gonna feel put on the spot when they answer honestly?
well, they need to read honestly.
They do.
Well, no, you're not putting that on the screen for everybody to know.
Oh, yeah, don't.
No, of course not.
So-
No, but when they reflect, and if they're really pretty honest, it actually works really, really well. And the
Let me
next time
use
they
yours.
do a lot better usually on the quiz. And like she said, and I always had a discussion with the class as a whole, what could you have done differently? What are you going to do differently next time? What changes have to be made? So there is a reflection of, study habits, so study habits.
So here's what I want you to do. I scared Mark, I'm sorry. Here's what I want you to do. The green is kind of like how I use it in my statements. But I know that some of my statements may not apply. There may be specific things they can do in math that you want to add. So what I've done is I've given you some blanks to add things that are specific to your courses. If there are things that don't make sense for your subjects, cross those off. So that when I send the Word document, you can adapt this to your own classes. So I want to give y'all just a few minutes to think about things that you would add either to part 1 or part 2. I'm gonna give
Did you have a sign-in sheet? We need to sign in
No.
sheet anyway. That
Okay.
way you know who all of us send to. And
Okay, I'll do that. And I want you all to write some things, and then in Nearpod, in Nearpod, this is a collaborate function. So now what you can do is post maybe one thing that you would add to this.
Now, the question that you asked about, number 5, I studied my notes using specific strategies for my specific learning style. That's because you've given them.
Yes. So if we briefly talk about what, if you're visual, these are things you can do, or right? You can take that off, and that's how it will.
Now, we have them do that online LSE online assessment.
Yes.
And so that would be good as a reminder.
Yes.
Then do they do research on their specific learning style?
Not necessarily. So when I've done it, I've shown them learning styles and things that you can do to study.
Okay.
So what happens is students forget about that. So it's me trying to bring it back in, right?
I can do that. We have them take that assessment, and then I can go back and explain, like, this is your learning style. Then this would be beneficial.
And you could also just give a list of 50 ways to study for a class and have them, did they pick from that list? Because I find some students think they're studying if they just read the textbook. If they read and highlight, they think they're studying. We're gonna add something.
No. Look at that screen and wonder if the resolution is the same in every classroom. On this particular.
This is, I mean, it's never been as.
I know.
Is this a Padlet?
It's wonky.
No, it is in Nearpod. Now you're gonna want it.
You know I love Padlet.
But can you see it on your screen?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
read it on mine. I'm just thinking about whether it projects very well.
So here's the other thing with Nearpod. Again, you don't have to have this on at all.
Right, they can have it on their device.
Mhm. They have it, and then you can control it from your screen. That is, look at you figuring it out. So Clark found another cool feature that if you are on a tablet, you can zoom in. So Clark is able to zoom in on his, or if you're on your phone, and you can see people's responses. This is a bad projector.
And so other people can read it, not because my eyes are bad.
Mine are. Oh, love this. Went to the SEC to try my visual on the classroom projector before. That's great, right? These are things that are very specific. I revised my rough draft and took it to a tutor. I did not read the assigned readings, right? So they're reflecting. I practiced using my calculator so that I can become, oh, that's, see, I would never think of that for math, right? I would never think, and that's where you, because you're the experts, you can identify ways that students can study, but if we don't tell them how they can study, how they can be successful in the class, some of them, they don't know how to do those things. They don't realize that those are things that they can do. One benefit, so you could, I just thought about this, you could, just like I'm doing here, I don't need you to give me your paper back, but I want you to share one thing you're gonna do for the next test, right? We're gonna see if that works. And then that way you can hold them accountable, right? So you didn't do as well. You put on here you didn't do as well as you wanted to do. Or maybe you did do well, but you want to do better. So tell me one thing you're gonna do next time, right?
I have one question.
Yes.
Is it better to put the statements in the positive, like a positive statement, or so because it's yes or no, or is it better to, because I'm saying that I did not read the assigned readings, and I said something like I read the text or the readings before taking the quiz.
It would depend on if it was the one they filled out when they took the test, like how did they prepare, or after the test, what did they not do to prepare?
Yeah, so I agree with that. If you want to put what they didn't do, you might have to put it in the negative, yeah.
Oh, specifically, like a mistake they made. Oh, I made that mistake.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Because I tend to put things in a positive.
You can't, I don't.
Yeah, you know, because I don't want to. Like,
You could, but you could put what I didn't do and you can have them rewrite what they will do next time. So I didn't do this, but next time I am going to do this. I think there's a lot of variation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, because you have it on the afterwards, it's reasons why I missed.
Right.
That would be I didn't read, but on the, before the test, it's how did you prepare?
How did you prepare?
I did read.
Right. Okay, these are really good. I like this. This is, so Donna's used to using Padlet. This is another feature in Nearpod where students can post things on one board. This could take the place of an online discussion as well. They can upload pictures or videos as well, and they can post their comment, right? So this is just another thing.
It works exactly like Padlet does.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that neat?
Oh, I can't stuff the ballot box on these. If you like it once, it comes back and says you did that already. So I can't like one 5 times.
Oh.
Were you trying to like your own?
Yeah, because mine didn't have enough art on it, so I was like. Eh.
Which one is yours? This one?
The top, the FCC one.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Here, I'm gonna like you too.
The test review, the website. I reviewed the website.
The self-concept is tied.
Oh, that's a good one. These are really good, right? And the good thing about the higher ed license is they can go back and review these. So maybe I didn't do this time, but I can do, I really like Penny's idea. I want to do that next time. Okay? All right. So modeling instinct. So now I'm going to move very quickly. Those of you, my ITCP people can tell you, I'm going to give you a lot of information because I want you to be able to pick what best matches you, right? So one of the things that you'll notice, even with like Katie's question, I'm not going to, I can only speak for my teaching style and my students. I want you to do what kind of feels most natural, okay? So let's talk about modeling instinct, and this is all about going about things in the best way, not the hardest way. Now, we want to make sure that we are filling our class with formative assessment, which means I need to see what my students know and don't know before the midterm. Because if the midterm is the first opportunity I give them to demonstrate what they know, in my opinion, that's way too late. You need to know ahead of time. So how do we informally assess our students all the time? So this is a cool tool. I'm going to show y'all how this works, and hopefully it will let me do this from my screen. And I have directions. ZipGrade, and I think of VC because I used to be in the same office suite. I thought about VC with your Scantrons and going down to office services and scanning them, right? I looked up on this tool a couple years ago. ZipGrade allows you to print Scantron-like things just on regular paper, okay? You can then take that, students fill it in with pen or pencil. It doesn't matter. If they want to use green, purple ink, that's fine, they can use it. You then take your mobile device, iPad, tablet, phone, and you scan it and it grades it right away, right? And if you're like me, my students grade it right away. So let me just kind of take you through this really quickly. I'm going to take you through a couple things, but I have lessons for you. All right. So there are 2 things that you need. In order for this to work, you do have to have a mobile device because this is what you scan with. You can scan with an iPod or an iPad. The app is free. You don't have to pay for the app. The service is free for 100 scans. If you want to go beyond 100 scans, and I don't pay for technology, but this is well worth it for me, it is $6.99 a year. For the year. I would ask Mindy. I cannot speak to that. Okay, so let me log in really quickly so you can see. I'm going to do a couple things. ZipGrade, see my license expires December 17th, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to renew this because for $6.99 you get a wealth of information. If you just go here, here are what the answer sheets look like. And they print them in PDF format. You can't see the circles, but it has circles. Student puts their name, the date, and the class, okay? You take your device and you scan it, and it gives you a grade automatically on your phone, and I'm going to show you what that looks like.
So you're recommending the students scan their own as opposed to we scan theirs?
They can grade it themselves, and
For mirror feedback on like practices or in-class practices.
And not just, it gets better. Let me just show you what I can do. This screen, it's this screen too. So let me click on my chapter 13 quiz. I haven't given this yet. Look at this. Oh, this screen is better than this. So I know how many papers I've scanned, the number of questions, the possible points, the minimum score, the maximum score. Down here, I can see that 65 of my students, or 94%, got number 1 right. That means they got it, right? But if I see, I don't have one here, but if this is a problem for me, only 75% got number 11 right, that means maybe they didn't get it. Or if it's 30% or 20%, or maybe it was a bad question. Does that make sense? So you get item analysis. Here's what's even better. I have an option to export things as PDFs. I'm doing a really quick review of this. So I'm going to do a strip report. What's a strip report? Not what you think it is. A strip report has the student name, their score, and their incorrect answers. So you know what I can do when I give the quiz back? Cut this out. Put it on their paper, say make test corrections, I'll give you a ½ a point for every one that you correct correctly. Or you have to correct it and you have to tell me why you got it wrong. This makes it so easy to do that, okay? And you can give them this.
So just to be clear, okay, so they can scan and get answers, but is there some code that's linking their...
Oh no, I let them scan it on my phone.
Okay, so to get all that...
Yeah, they do it on my phone.
Okay.
No, when they come up to turn it in, I say, here, scan it. And then they can see what score they got. So, and they love it because they hate waiting for their grade. So let me show you something else that's pretty neat. This is my fall class. And I'm going to show, I have instructions on how to do this. This makes it even better. Okay? I use this in my online class. How do you ask? Easy. I add students to classes. It gives them a random zip grade ID. I don't change it. It's the first thing that comes up. I ignore it. I put their first name and I put their last name, okay? My students have the ability to go, I upload this packet, and I show them how to do this. And I'm like, oh, Christina's on page 3. You're going to print 5 pages of page 3, right? Print 5 copies for yourself. You could do this for a face-to-face class. If you don't want to run these off at Office Services, it's a PDF file. You can send the whole thing to Office Services and say, make 10 copies of it for me. But if you want students to do it, they print their own sheet. When it comes time to take a quiz, they're loaded in ZipGrade, so their scores are going to automatically go to the ZipGrade account. And you don't have to worry about reading their handwriting. Before, I didn't do this, and then I couldn't read their names, which didn't help. But this is the packet, right? All my students are in here. I do this every semester. Do not put their Lone Star ID. I don't think there's enough numbers. And I tell them nothing is recognizable. It's a random ID number, okay? So this is what I do for my, did it log me out? Okay. I'm gonna see if this works on this screen. It may not. All right. Go to my drop. I'm moving too fast. Go to my Dropbox. So here, see how it has Chapter 5 quiz, Chapter 6 quiz? My students upload their ZipGrade Scantron. They scan it in and they upload it to the Dropbox. I don't give them instructions on how to do it. They just do it. When I click, I usually don't do it from this screen. Okay. There's her ZipGrade Scantron, right? I can, this is just how I did it. At first I was like, oh, I gotta print all these Scantrons. I don't print them. Let's see if it works here. So I'm gonna log into my ZipGrade account.
You isn't very good.
Huh?
The view on the screen isn't very good.
Yeah, I don't
It
know.
may not.
We'll see if it matters.
I'm just saying it may not, yeah, it may not.
So if I do it from here, it's a little bit better. And the quiz that I'm grading is my Chapter 6 quiz. So I've loaded all my quizzes here, and this is where you put your answer key in, okay? So I'm gonna go to Chapter 6. I have an option to now scan the papers. Let's see if this works from here. You get 4 boxes, which you can't see, but I'm gonna line those 4 boxes up. It's focusing. I don't know if I can do it on here. I'm gonna line them up. And it's gonna grade the paper. Okay? That's it. I'm gonna overwrite the previous. So it tells me what she did. I can look at the questions and see what she missed, but this is gonna sync with my online account too. So that strip report, right, it's gonna be based on this. Now, here's one more reason. I mean, it's that easy, right? And if it's paper, you just scan, turn it over, scan, turn it over, scan, turn it over. It's that easy. Let's say number 5 was C and you put B on the answer key. I've done that before. So I just tried it. I had graded all my finals. Went in, because there was 0% got that question right when I looked at the item analysis. Changed it from C to B, it automatically regraded all the papers for me. I didn't have to scan them again. I didn't have to do anything. It automatically regraded. If you have a question that you want to throw out, you can go in and make it worth 0 points instead of 1 point after you've graded, and it will automatically regrade all the papers, okay? It is, I don't use Scantrons typically, but this makes me, I find ways to use Scantrons. So this is how I use them in my education class. You know those textbook quizzes, those chapter quizzes that you get with some textbooks? I upload the quiz and I give them a zip grade Scantron. That way I know they're reading. And I add a quiz grade, and it's strictly, I don't write the quizzes. This is the easiest gig in the world. I don't write anything, right? I use the answer key they gave me and I put it into my phone and I scan it. So now students are reading it and it counts for something. They're not just reading it in vain, okay? So if you teach anything that can require a multiple choice quiz, this is an easy way to go. There's no expense of printing Scantrons, and it's very quick and easy to use. Okay, so what I've done is I've kind of typed up instructions for you, because some things you do on your phone and some things you do.
Amber, is that something that can be done for the math final, for the 25 multiple choice, to make that all faster to grade and to do our data collecting?
We don't have multiple choice.
We've never used it.
But we could use it, but then you don't get any multiple choice at all.
Or everything's happening. No, our pre and post test is only going to be multiple choice.
Yeah, the post test is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, the new one.
It might make it
we
really
met
simple
yesterday,
to.
only gonna be multiple choice.
Okay.
So, yeah, it could be.
But could you also do, just for quick quizzes, right? Could you do a quick 5-minute quiz at the beginning of class? Because you can change the Scantron and those instructions are on there, so you get 20, 50, and 100 question Scantrons, but you can make it a 5-question Scantron, right? So you can adapt it for your own classroom needs.
Another thing that I learned how to use for something like that is flickers. Have you ever heard of flickers?
Yes.
Okay. So for anyone
I
who
do
doesn't
like
know
flickers.
what a flicker is, essentially, like if you use a clicker in college where you do your multiple choice that way, it's a printout card with a QR code. And so they hold it up turned one way for each of their
Right.
multiple choice answers, and you scan the room with your phone.
Yeah.
And so you do multiple choice that way. So that's kind of fun to do something like
It
that
is.
as well.
You can't, it's not for like a whole bunch of questions, but if you have a couple of questions you want to do, because it's, you have to load them differently. All right. Other tools. So I should have made that font bigger. Here's some other things that you can do for assessment. Because remember, when you use things like ZipGrade or you use things like Socrative or Kahoot or quizzes, you can assess your students all the time. You don't have to wait until and it doesn't have to be 50 questions. You can do a 1-question assessment, because if they don't understand this, they're not prepared for what I'm teaching them today. So you need to make sure that your students kind of get the basics so that they can move on to the next level. So I'll write these down, but Socratic is really easy to use. It's like a clicker system. You log in, you plug your question, and this is really, if you already have a quiz created, you copy the question and you copy the answer choices. Kahoot is really fun. They use that in K-12 a lot. You can do those as live lessons. One of my favorites is quizzes, which is very fun because you can copy other people's questions. So I do quizzes for my son who's in 6th grade. I don't know what they're learning in math. I just put the topic in. So I'll look for quizzes on whatever he's studying in math, and I can pick a quiz and copy questions to my own quiz, right?
Here's a question about that, because I've tried to use some things like this before, and one of the issues with math is a lot of stuff is very format based.
Yes.
And so you can't put equation type things in there. Is there a specific tool you know of that does allow that flexibility?
Go Formative.
Go Formative, okay.
It's not an app and it's not a game like, right? But could you for math, I don't know if you could do this. Could you for math, put the question, they can do the work on their own and then pick the right answer? Like you can extend the time. You can give them 2 minutes to answer the question.
Well, that's not the concern I have. Like, for instance, you mentioned quadratic formula.
Yes.
Say the question is, what is the quadratic formula? And so you have 4 multiple choice answers that have 4 different options.
Right.
It's hard to input those options.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. The formatting of the actual
like I make my notes
square.
in the equation editor in Microsoft Word,
Yes.
but you can't typically copy and paste.
Okay, let me look into that and see.
Okay.
Now I understand. I thought you meant something else. So Go Formative may not be.
Okay.
I was thinking it's one where they can show their work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would still be valuable though.
Yeah.
A lot of programs don't have that math prompt.
Do what?
A lot of programs don't have that math prompt.
Okay, let's do modeling tenacity really quickly. Y'all know about these things. This is about getting them to practice, especially math, especially writing sentences, especially anything. You're not going to get it if you're not practicing. If you only do that one homework assignment, that may not be enough for some students. Some students may get it. So here's some resources. Y'all know about Khan Academy. Yes, no, maybe so. My son uses this all the time. Crash Course. It's a YouTube channel that does videos on different topics. They're short, they're animated, they're fun.
Fast.
They're fast. They're Crash Course.
Yeah, the information goes by very quickly.
Yes. And then the one that I like the most is Quizlet. So Quizlet allows you, and students use this, it is an app that the student can download when you log in. With Quizlet, I'll put these back. Oh, this is on your screen, so you don't even need to look up here. Okay. All right, so there are a couple ways you can do this. Your study sets are actually sets of flashcards, right? So here's one. This was a final exam review. And if I click on it, I have all my flashcards, and it really is this. You put in a term, you put in a definition. You put in a term, you put in a definition. It's that easy. When you share this link with your students, and you can do this a couple of ways. You can create a class, and then they can see all the sets in the class. Or you can just send them a link, okay? You can also have students create flashcards. So they have all of these options. They can do flashcards, they can do learn, they can make a test. So if I click on test, and I click on options, I don't want any written, I'll do matching multiple choice. I want the term here, and then it's going to create a test for me, right? Students can review in this way just from the list of flashcards. So I don't know how, I haven't done, oh, I guess you just type in the answer. Look and see how it lightens it. This is, I'm going to fail this. Y'all see that? That's one thing. Oh, and then there's multiple choice questions. It's not going to all be matching, right? Now, I will say, let me go back. So they can.
Well, anybody who looks these up online, could they find these for your
Which
course?
is, so this is what I do. My son was doing Let's just do, he wasn't doing this. Branches of government.
You can find other people's.
You can find other people's.
Based on the textbook.
Yes. So they can, again, get started. Got it? All right, makes the laws, makes the laws. Who makes the laws? The Supreme Court. Well, now I gotta study this one, but I'm gonna press any key to continue. Supreme Court interprets laws. I guess that's Supreme Court. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Commander-in-Chief is the president, right? So it gives them feedback. This is one game that they can do, right? So you can, let's see if, what's a unit in math you would learn? I don't know.
Quadratic equations, see what happens.
You'll never get another math reference.
I got 5, 10, 30 terms. Don't know what that could be. Oh, what's that answer?
Vertex form.
I got it right. I'm glad y'all got that right.
Naturally.
A straight line has a constant rate of change. It has a who? A linear?
Linear.
Because it has a line in it. I know that one. Formula, right? Not function. X equals negative b.
So what did they do? Did they put pictures in there?
You can.
Okay, that's gotta be what it is then.
Yeah, so with Quizlet, you can upload a picture.
That, okay.
You can upload a picture. I know this one, I just forgot.
The discriminant.
I didn't know that.
Do you think that they tend to be college level, these Quizlets?
Before I would copy it and assign it, I would go through it, and you can edit it. Once you add it to your own account, you can edit. So I don't recommend just sending them out willy-nilly. I would review them with any of these things, right? I would review them and then assign them, okay? So math is an option, okay? All right. Grit assignments. We're gonna go over this very, very quickly because I do want to go over some of the activities. So one of the things that I've learned is that gritty assignments, and some of you have seen this before if you've come to one of my other trainings, they're not harder or longer, right? You don't make something gritty just by making it more difficult and impossible for them. But what you do is you add these 4 elements: critical thinking, collaboration, reflection, and application, okay? So here's an example of a GRITify assignment. This without grit, research campus resources available to you on campus. That's a straightforward assignment, right? Instead, to GRITify it in groups. Research campus resources available to you on campus, and analyze how each of these resources can help you develop a dimension of grit. Each team member should submit a 1-page overview describing each person's role, okay? I've had people do this all the time with the Great Depression and things in science, right? If you add these elements, it's going to make the assignment more meaningful for the students. So what I won't ask you to do, I'm going to send you this, but this is what I want you to think about. How can you add these elements to an assignment? So, speech. Speeches are very individual, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I mean,
So give me something you would do in speech.
Like
a
practice introduction?
Practice introductions. So the assignment is to practice your intro. Okay, how can I add critical thinking to this? So when I do critical thinking, I use balloons, right? So instead of identify, analyze. Instead of describe, evaluate. So I use higher level verbs for the assignments. Practice isn't say or say your speech, say your introduction, right? I don't want them analyzing their introduction, but you could, right? You could get them to evaluate other people's introductions. Maybe you do that.
That's the activity. They make 2 different introductions for the first speech. They're all both a minute long. They deliver them in class. The class lets them know which one they like the best. They explain what was missing. They talk about, could you combine them?
Right.
And the student is there getting the evaluation or the feedback from everyone.
Right.
So it's collaborative. They watch other people do it, so they reflect on what other people do. They're applying it because they're actually doing it, and then they don't have to actually use the ones that are made in class. They can come up with something better later on. But they all go through it. The first minute is now worked out on their speech, which reduces their anxiety because they know the class already likes it.
Yes, that's a GRITify assignment.
I've been using it for 20 years.
I just wanted a basic assignment, but I'm glad you did that. But this is how you do this. So instead of just saying, I want you to go practice your speech.
When you're as old as dirt, gritty.
You have them do that. So instead of, I'm going to just throw this out here, solve this problem, maybe you have them solve it in teams. And you have them identify the steps that they took, right? Maybe they do a quick Adobe Spark video on the steps that they took to solve the problem. And then they could reflect, what did that feel like? Was that challenging? I think one of the things is, well, we don't have time to do that. I would argue make time. I would argue students can watch videos, students can do practice exercises at home or in the library. In the classroom, we want to create experiences where they're actually learning about their mistakes or learning tips to do better, right? So I don't know that everything just has to be done in the classroom, and I've done that. So I don't call it flipping or whatever, but I'm not going to go over I teach a different discipline, but I'm not going to regurgitate the textbook because you can read the textbook. Now what I will do is determine, are you ready? Have you read the textbook? Because if you haven't read, then maybe I need to do more of an overview, but there are certain things that college students, they can do at home, right? And we have to hold them accountable, and we want the classroom to be a space where they can actually do the practice, okay? So that's a great example. Now let me share a few activities because we only have 10 minutes. Okay. Sir, I'll send you a link to this, but one of the things you can do is a quick grit and growth mindset survey, and I have several of those. I was going to share a link with you, but I want to go on to some of the other ones really quickly.
You're going to share this whole Nearpod link?
Yes. Okay. You can do quick videos. So
that's great.
Isn't that quick? That's a gift. One of the things that I do in my classroom, I make time for things that aren't specific to what I'm teaching. Because if a student comes in and they're having a bad day or they're tired.
That's really annoying.
If a student comes in and they are having a bad day, right? Or if something's going on at home or they had a flat tire, they are not mentally ready for your class, right? So I try to find things not connected to class that might be inspirational, that might be funny, that might be anything, just to get them ready, right? So the first thing, if I'm having a bad day, when I come into class, I don't want to just sit and, you know, as much as I may love you as a teacher, I may not be ready for what you have to give me. And if I miss the first part, nothing else is going to make sense. So you need them to have an opportunity to just get focused. So take a minute, right, to find something, a TED Talk, a TED Ed, a commercial, something to lighten the mood, right, or to get them ready. Or give them a brain teaser. I don't know all the answers. I will do these with my students because they'll put a whole lot of time and energy in doing this. So when they don't put a lot of time and energy into an assignment, I can say, well, I know you can do it because you've done it every time we do a puzzle in class, right? So there's no I in team. What's that one? You might have to look at your...
Fishing for compliments.
Oh! Fishing for compliments. It is. There's a little fish.
There's something in the four I couldn't see what.
What's this one?
Third time lucky.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. What is this one?
Four-leaf clover.
Oh! Four-leaf clover. That's a good one. There's no I in team. I got that one. What's Janab?
Janab.
Banjo.
Banjo.
The word banjo's there.
Math people, what's this one? 3i plus 3. I don't know. I know that's broken heart.
Falling temperature.
Falling temperature.
2 under par, fat chance.
What?
2 under par, fat chance.
Where's fat chance?
Right next to 2 under par.
Oh, it's a fat chance.
Broken heart.
Hot under the collar.
Head in the sand.
Under my dead body.
Where?
Over
Over my
Over
dead
my
body.
dead body, right.
Right?
Two
Okay.
right don't make a right.
Two, where's that one?
No, 2 wrongs don't.
Yeah.
Where's that?
No,
Right?
No, right.
2 wrongs don't make them. Is that
I
what
don't know if that's what it is.
It's 2 no's over a right with the space in the middle. Space, no? Okay.
Is
Y'all
there a
get,
symbol there that we just can't see because of the resolution?
there's a line. Do y'all get what I'm doing though?
Yes.
They may be more engaged in this than they will be in class. This is a way to get them to hook them in, okay? I'm turning it off.
When is the 11/11 one?
I don't know. I just found
That's my
them.
birthday, so I'm just curious what that would be, 11/11.
This is especially for my math peeps. But it doesn't have to be. I'm going to show you. Let me see if this is the right one. I think this can be done in any class. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
Hi, my name is Leah Alcala. I teach 8th grade math, and this is my warm-up routine that I do with my students almost every day. I call it my favorite no.
So other people think about how you could do this in your
Okay.
disciplines.
Good morning, you guys. Your warm-up is on the board. I'm going to hand out your index cards. I put a warm-up problem on the board, hand out index cards to all the kids, have them write their answer. I collect it, and then I sort it, and I say yes, no, yes, no. And I look for my favorite wrong answer, my favorite no, and we analyze that. 4 minutes to work on it. Everyone makes mistakes. We're gonna see your mistakes, you're gonna see my mistakes. But a mistake is your opportunity to share with me how much you understand. And if I don't know that you don't know something, I need to teach you before the test. The test is too late. And this is a great spot for me to teach you. Make sure your name is on your card, put your pencil in your pencil slot, and pass your cards to the center. I started my warm-up routine to replace clickers that a lot of classes are buying. So that was a clicker for each student. You ask a question, they lock in an answer. And then you look at your computer screen and you know what percentage of your students understand the problem. Well, we didn't have the money for that, so instead, okay, here we go. I thought, well, what if I gave everyone index cards, collected them real quick with their answers already written on it, and then I can just sort them as quick as possible and find out what percentage of my kids know the answer. No? Yes? Costs 40 cents instead of $15,000. Yes, so we have quite a few yeses and some very interesting no's. 1, 2, 3. I then took that a step further, something I couldn't do with clickers. 7. Look at the ones who are getting it wrong. How far are they from getting it right? And showing that work to the other kids. Okay, my favorite no. Someone wrote this. I say it's my favorite no because I want the kids to first of all recognize what they're about to see is wrong, and I want them to recognize that there's something good in the problem. Like there's a mistake, but it's my favorite no because it showed some good math. So that's the wrong answer, but they did some things that I love. What in that problem am I happy to see? We always talk about what's right first, so that if it's any student's work, they are like, oh, I did do that right. there's mistake, but the mistake didn't ruin the whole thing. What do I like about this problem? Gavin?
Well, they distributed both with the 4x and the -2.
Very nice. And what? Today's lesson was on factoring, so I needed to make sure they understood how to distribute. They distributed, and what lets you know that they distributed? David?
How there are no more parentheses.
There are no more parentheses, and they didn't just drop the parentheses. So they're asked to distribute a term with a variable. They're asked to distribute twice. They're asked to distribute a term with a negative sign, which is often a very common mistake that kids make. And my students do not.
Okay. So do y'all see that? It's a really, really good activity. It takes time, right? But it does kind of highlight, one, that growth mindset. I'm not doing everything wrong, right? There are things that I'm doing right, but here is where I made a mistake. And for me, I've noticed when you highlight a student's work, do they make that mistake again? No, because they feel, well, when you put their work, I think when you show, and I always tell my students this, if you volunteer to show your work, that's me one-on-one correcting your mistakes in front of everyone. And they are more attentive because that's their work up there and they want to correct it, right? So this is an activity, and I thought maybe you could do this with sentence structure or writing a thesis statement, or there are other things.